everybody a lot of technical, nuts and bolts of what we're doing. But at a high level, we're upgrading the entire gas system to Roosevelt line. So it's going to be what's existing and what's going to get replaced. The whole system will be upgraded. But in order to facilitate the upgrades, there's really two things we have to do. The first one is the riser replacement right here by Capital Bianco Field, which Mike talked about. And the second, second separate piece to that is we have to replace 3,000 feet of existing gas main along this stretch of Main Street, which is what Tom spoke about. So in order to complete the upgrades, you have to complete both of those pieces. The more critical piece is the riser replacement, because as Caroline was saying, there is, once the loads come up for the winter, we have to make sure we have enough supply for the island. So that's the critical piece, that's the piece that we're going to be starting next week. So at a high level, what we're going to do, what you will see on Roosevelt Island first.
I'm not worried about the riser.
All right, so I'll jump.
I'm worried about laying,
I'll come back to the riser. Let's talk about the gas main work that Tom spoke about.
Our services, we have gas ovens at River Cross. Will our service be interrupted at any time and we will not have gas?
No, and I'll explain to you how it works again at a high level. So we're going to replace this 3,000 feet of gas main. There's an existing gas main right there right now. So
I just want to say, I dispute your point about having to get this done by October, because we don't have really new gas on the island. We have 7 buildings that have been built. Okay, we have service for those plus the others. Okay, Cornell is going up, at some point later on. We're right now the urgency to get this done by October. I really disagree with that. I don't think those points are substantiated.
So we can get more into that, and I agree with your concern, and I think there's a way that...
I mean, I want to understand that, because like I said, for my tenants, because I'm the one that takes all the bulk job, on this, for my tenants, on this. If there is a problem here with us getting windows, we have a problem. I don't, and like I said, I just don't see the urgency of getting this done by October for Roosevelt Island. Other places, yes, but I don't see, you're going to have to explain that argument better. I don't buy that.
So I think there's 2 questions in there. And the one is, what's the urgency to get it done for October? And the second question is, will the work that we're doing impact the window replacement and the other facade work that's going on Main Street?
Right, because we start closing off, parking and the sheds and, Eastwood here is closing off a lane every day. So you imagine closing off a lane, then you guys close off a lane, okay, we got a problem.
Understand completely. And that's something that we've known about, I think, going back to March or April. And we've had several coordination meetings back in April and March that REOC put together because they saw the whole picture of what the buildings on Main Street are going to do and what Connor's is planning to do. So I personally have been in contact with Urban American and Eastview multiple times about this, basically from April to discuss. We'll talk after, I'll let you know exactly what I've been speaking to. Basically, anyone who's an involved party on the Main Street work, we've been in contact with. And the riser replacement is the most urgent to do. With the main work, which is your concern, we have flexibility, and that's one of the things we've been talking about the whole time. So that work, we're going to start, we'd like to get it done before the winter, but we're flexible. So we don't necessarily have to work from the north all the way to the south, we can jump around. So that's what I've been sharing with the buildings. So we are actually coordinating schedules because we know that we don't want to disrupt Main Street at 2 different places at the same time so we can avoid it. And we also don't want to be working on top of each other. And more importantly, we don't want to affect their schedule and they don't want to affect our schedule. So that coordination has already happened.
So I just want to follow on what Frank said, because as far as I know, there are no buildings on the island now that are heated by gas.
Right, exactly.
So why is there a rush?
It's stoves like gas, though.
They're what?
Stoves.
Yeah, but we have.
We already have the gas.
We have the gas now.
Right.
As far as I know, there hasn't been a problem with getting enough gas to
That's
build.
right.
So why is October so crucial? If I think it's a great idea that we will be able to upgrade to gas at some point, but I don't see the why October is so crucial since we don't heat with gas yet.
So there are some heating customers. I believe the Octagon has a heating customer. The Octagon North End uses heat. So at least as close as possible, our gas that comes from Queens comes in from here and then splits the island. So because of where the Octagon is so far north, by the time the gas gets up there because it's already strained by one pipe, it loses a lot of its power when it gets to octagon. When doing this work, like Mike was talking, we have 2 pipes going to the ground. To replace them, we take one out at a time. When the heating load for the octagon comes on and all the cooking loads combined come on, by the time the gas gets up to there, there's not enough to feed the boilers on the north and south ends of the island because it's a one-way feed, which is why this new pipe in the future is going to help support this growth.
Then just go north first and deal with your October deadline customer first.
Well, the issue is where the source of the gas is in the middle of the island, which is why the riser is so important. We can't leave that pipe off service. If that pipe is off service, we can't push the gas north. The gas only comes into the island from that one point. There is no second entrance to the gas.
Can I just ask a dumb question? So, the riser comes up, you've got a second pipe. You're now laying pipe onto the north end down. You can't make use of that pipe until the whole island is done?
So again, that pipe won't do anything because it's already bottlenecked by the 2 pipes coming up. There's 2 pipes coming from the ground, and then it goes, then you put the 2 pipes, but it's still constrained or let's say bottlenecked by those pipes that come out of the ground. And if he can't finish his work in time, and he looks with only 1 pipe, that 1 pipe is too much of a choke on the system to push the gas north.
You're talking about getting stuff done within weeks right now. Assuming you got the permits tomorrow. You're talking about getting stuff done within weeks. The riser is the first thing. You're talking about doing that really in a tiny amount of time. You're going to excavate, and then you're going to, drop some pipe in. Okay, you're going to bring it up. Everyone's going to be happy. It's going to be done at night. Good stuff. It was a tiny construction area. Go north then at that point and satisfy the customer on the north side so that you can then, when it gets time, you've dealt with your urgency, and then the rest of the island, which has a lot of constraints, and there isn't local law level work going on north of the riser, okay, and it's much easier in terms of traffic north of the riser. Do that first, make your deadline, and then the rest of the island, you got to work within the other schedule.
That's a great point. That is really our plan. Until you get the riser done for heating season. The pipe work can be done after heating season because there's no gas going online. It's really the riser work that has to be heating season, that short period of time, which is why there's a really big focus on starting that.
Okay, but that's 10 by 10
Yes.
feet,
So
and that's not going to affect a lot, and you got to put a
Correct.
couple places. Okay, so that's not going to have as much of an impact here. What the rest of the stuff is, I'm saying,
We're going to
I
lay the
bet
work. Yeah, we're going to lay the work. We're going to limit constructions.
And I do want to go back to this gentleman's question. So there are multiple buildings on Roosevelt Island that have open requests for Con Edison for gas service. So across our whole territory, across the nation really, we are getting a lot of people that are choosing natural gas for various reasons. So you've got your cooking customers and your heating customers.
my customers in my building are going to be cold. We don't get windows.
Understand, we're going to work around it, right? You've also got customers on Roosevelt Island that are installing cogeneration systems. And you've got customers that converted from steam or possibly in the future electric that don't want to go on gas. And then you've got new buildings going up. So this really goes back to engineering and Tom maybe in 2011, I believe, when they first started looking at Roosevelt Island as a whole, and they started canvassing to see what projects might come up on Roosevelt Island.
This is all electric.
This is all electric, right? I don't think you understand this island.
Again, I'm not debating
they're doing more
the
than-
need to put it in and to allow us to have gas. But everything here, except for the oven, except for ovens, we are heated by, it's all electric.
You're referring to residential, right? But you're referring to residential, just the residential stuff, right? You're talking, you said everything on Roosevelt Island, but you're talking about just the residential, right? You're not talking about the other uses on the island.
There's no more commercial on the block. We're not building commercial on the block.
I have
But
gas.
I want
gas.
to see this in writing. I want to see this because
I have
we need
gas.
to understand this.
Yes. The majority.
I don't buy this one.
Majority use electric.
No, I'm not questioning, but there are other users of gas. I mean, I have the racket club under the bridge. We have gas, everything except our light.
You have a problem now with your service?
Well, that's why I'm here.
So let me take a step back again, and I do understand. So our project accomplishes multiple things, which we talked about, but we as a regulated utility have an obligation to serve our customers. So we are not going to, I guess, What prompted us to do this work was the increase in loads. So going back to about 2011, when we heard of a bunch of projects starting and we canvassed in building to building to see what the loads might be, we start building that into our models that we have in our system. So our models told us that around this time, we will exceed the capacity of the medium pressure on the island and will be forced to upgrade. So it's not an upgrade that we're necessarily choosing to do. The timing of it is our obligation to serve our customers. So I'm sure in our future communications, we can definitely put something out there that spells out a little bit of maybe what the loads on the island look like and what our projected growth is. Because as an investor, when you see that,
Because like I said, it's not like we're in Queens and we've got little houses going up here and there. Roosevelt Island is construction,
There are 3 buildings being built on the southern side, the southbound towers.
we will produce something to that effect, but certainly, so we build to accommodate what our system needs are. We don't
I agree,
think
we want to use more gas too. But the urgency is not October.
Excuse.
Oh, okay, sorry.
All right. All right. Besides the Octagon, what other Roosevelt Island customers have asked you for this increased gas capacity?
So I don't know if that's a question I can answer specifically as to what individual customers are requesting. There are.
It was besides the Octagon, what other Roosevelt Island customers have asked for the increased gas capacity?
So I apologize if I'm being vague, right? But I don't think I'm at liberty to discuss exactly individual customers. But what we do have, right? Certainly we know the new campus is coming in. We know there's new buildings going up. We have had multiple requests for existing buildings on Main Street, not necessarily to convert to gas for heat, but we've got multiple cogeneration requests. We do have some requests to convert to heat. And so to meet those requests now, we have to do this work. But we're building it in such a way that we have available capacity, so in the future, if anybody chooses to invest in a cogeneration project or convert from electric to gas, we will have that capability now, and we'll be able to serve those customers whatever their gas requests are.
I think everybody thinks it's better to do to Earth than to not. There's no reason to just stay the way
Can you speak up? Sorry, I can hear.
Everybody agrees with that. Assuming you can do this with as little disruption as possible, then why not get it by October? The question only becomes, if it's not done by October, what's the big one? What happens?
Exactly.
Has everyone become assassinated?
So
No. I don't think that by October.
Everything is done.
Yeah.
So again, I don't want to speak about specific customers, but there are multiple customers. So
But my question is, let's assume you miss the target. What happens? How does it affect?
we choose our dates and again, the upgrades that we perform based on customer requests and what we're getting. So there are multiple customers on Roosevelt Island. Right, no, I'm saying.
But that's not critical.
That are requesting service in the spring of this year. And we call them service dates and con-eds. Anyone that's worked with us for a new service or an upgrade, we work to service dates to meet customers' needs. So there are various stakeholders on the island that are looking for gas this spring. So again, the riser portion is the critical part. That's what has to be done before the winter. The gas main work, we're going to start now and be flexible with where and when we do our work to not disrupt the other activity on the island, and we'll probably continue into the spring. So again, take another step back again at the high level. When we do this 3,000 feet of main replacement, there's an existing gas main that's there that all of our current customers are fed, and we are not going to disrupt any customers by doing this work. So what will happen is we're going to install this new 3,000 feet of main on Main Street, which is the disruptive part, and we're going to leave it there. At some point in the spring, when all of our work is complete and we're ready, we're going to energize this new gas main. So for a short period of time, we will have the old gas main and the new gas main. Then what we have to do is go essentially building by building and take the old services from the old main and tie them over to the new main. So that'll happen in the spring. That work is much less invasive. That's really restricted to individual sidewalks only a day or two at a time just to get that done. So that's sort of how we built up the timeline and have these pre-winter goals. So before the winter, again, we have to do the riser work because we have to make sure we have the capacity to get through the winter. and we have to complete the main work as close as we can, so that in the springtime we have that time to start swinging customers over. So we upgrade everybody along with energizing our new customers on the island.
But you didn't answer my question. It's November 1st, you guys didn't make your timeline. What happens? Do we have to meet?
No.
What happens? Where are we going?
As long as the riders are in November 1st, you are fine. As long as they're in your you are fine. So we would like to put as much pipe in the ground this year as possible. If we can't meet it, we don't have to. We can't do it next year. But because there is more work next year, so there's still work next year, we believe we can do it, working with you guys without disrupting it to get it done this year. We would like to. If there's too much disruption, we can postpone it. If there is that does come up. We don't think it's happening though. We can work together to prevent that.
So there's no big deal.
As long as the
Well,
riders
there are no, Connor and the company, we have obligations to various customers.
Exactly right.
Someone in the board like this. Aside from that, you keep saying additional customers, but you haven't identified who. Now, we just took offline the whole hospital that was running on gas. So that means that, and we were supplying all the current existing customers on the island, as they are now, with the exception of one building to the new property. We took the entire hospital offline this season. So the existing capacity to feed the island and the piping through the island has been supplying all of the existing buildings as they stand now, plus the southern hospital, which is now gone. So when you're saying you have all the people, you started out feeding us gloom and doom, we weren't going to have stuff if we didn't get this done right away, this hurt people to do it right away, when that's not true. So that's the first credibility problem, that you started out that way, so you shouldn't have done it. Next problem, okay, no one was saying that it's not a good idea to replace them as aging pipes so we don't have any problem. The issue that folks are having is that we have one road. And there's a whole bunch of things going on that one road right now. So, is there any way that they're saying, if you do the work you do that won't disrupt the traffic on that one road this summer, and then maybe you do where you have to rip up the road, cut off traffic, have to put a flag on redirect traffic because of that, at a separate time, that might be preferable. Because right now the existing gas capacity we have is more than we've ever had since the piping was put in, because it took the entire hospital off and all of its boilers and all of its heating and all of its other facilities that we had before. And the other hospital on the other end of the island, that one is running at reduced capacity now anyway. So we're supplying that is irrelevant to this project right now.
Right.
That's not going to be online for the 2 years.
Right.
No, but that's not going to be online for the 2 years.
Right.
So we have more than enough gas capacity right now to manage the situation we have right now, given that we have one road, and all these buildings are doing the work on that one road right now.
I would say, agree with all of those points. That's what the concern is. And I also want to say is that, you got to get permits from these people here. So telling us, they're the ones who are ultimately going to give that permit or not.
Okay, I have a question. Are what you're saying, you'd rather us, I think you said this preliminarily, you'd rather us come back in the spring. I mean, is that because...
No. What, I understand the future needs, all the points that everyone's made. And we want this done, nicely, okay? And done well and all of that. But we've had utility disruption, many times. Right now, a lot of people in my building, don't have phone service because of Verizon.
I heard about that, yeah.
Okay, well, this is not the first time, and with all of this construction going on, there's a lot of problems like that. So, what we'd like is, you gotta do Octagon, and you gotta maintain Octagon, head north, okay, and get that done. Okay, but the disruption here, you have to figure out how to schedule that right. And just saying we're going to lay, 100 or 200 feet of pipe every day and us guys do it quick. You guys haven't been here, I'm guessing, at 3 o'clock when there's this massive orchestration by public safety of, 1,000 little yellow buses, okay? And then, you have, the hospital, on the north end when they have their traffic and so on, and the buildings. and you haven't been here at 7:25 in the morning to see the congestion, every day. I'm saying there's a lot of congestion problems here. There's also emergency response problems that we've had with work going on, like, for example, with the bridge going on. So getting emergency responders in here when there's scaffolding over there, there's one lane closed and there's one lane dug up and there's a big traffic jam on Roosevelt Island, is really delaying emergency response. We really want to understand how that's going to be coordinated. And hearing, and I'm telling you, the point that's really irritating, not on a personal level, but I'm just saying on a discussion level here, the point that's really irritating me is you keep going back to this October deadline, which none of us bought. So you're going to have to come back with a better explanation of the urgency on this, which I don't think you're going to have. I mean, Mike just made some really excellent points here, And you know what? You got a room full of people here that actually know the island fairly well, probably better than most of your audiences, And unlike most of your audiences, there's a group of people in this room who are going to say yes or no to your permit. So I think we need to focus on listening and solving our island's problems here in a collaborative way, not October, come hell or high water. Got it?
I agree with you 100%, and we are entirely sympathetic to that. So maybe we didn't articulate it clear enough, right? But again, with the main work, which we know is the most disruptive to the buildings, we know that's going to take a collaborative effort between anyone who's doing work on the island, and we've been in touch with them. Like you said, we're subject to permits from RIAC and Roosevelt Down, and we know that, and we've already built in accommodations for that for the school and the anticipated traffic, and we're going to try to work around their event schedule. So there is certainly a flexibility there, and we definitely would not move forward with anything that we know would be overly disruptive, because that's not our intention here, right? We want to meet the goals of all the stakeholders on Roosevelt Island, which is the new customers, the existing customers, and the people who live here and work here, and that's all part of it.
But that's what I want to hear is about the collaborative aspects and minimizing stuff. I don't want to hear October, this year.
Yes.
There is a Cornell construction task force in which the Cornell construction people meet with residents of the island who are appointed by government officials. We just met on that. Energy requirements did not come up during that meeting. I'm sorry that nobody from Cornell was invited here today. That would be very useful. Is Cornell here? Who's here? I would very much like to know, given that their first phase on campus will not be open for 2 years, I would like to know, you've talked about requirements for additional gas usage. What has been expressed to you from Cornell about their needs? There are 3 buildings coming up: the Bloomberg Center, the Co-location Center, and the 26-story residential building. What have they indicated to you in terms of need?
We need the high pressure tanks. And
volume.
Is that pretty good?
So there are multiple commitments that are in the spring of this year. Cornell Tech being one of them. Kohler Hospital is another. Again, we do have some requests on Main Street from buildings that were on the former steam plant that was on the Goldwater site. They were on steam heat. I'm sorry, I'm not 100% familiar. I know it was the steam plant that was retired, so we've got requests from those customers who are looking for gas heat. And the former Goldwater Hospital itself, they were actually a very small gas customer.
There were customers on the steam? I'm not aware of any.
Well, I know Kohler Hospital was one.
No, I know, but I'm talking about on Main Street here. That's us right here. Okay, I'm not aware of any.
So I might be.
Kohler was, yes.
Sports park, at the Steve.
Steve, right.
Those are the one. I know there were at least 3 buildings on Main Street. We just energized another building, I forget the address, on the east side of the street that installed a combined heat cycle. No, combined. It was a residential building. 540 maybe, if I remember correctly. They had a new boilers with new cogeneration portion, which
right,
was
that's
gas service for. There's another building on Main Street that we have a request in where we have a commitment to them for April of this year. So the point I'm trying to make is there are various stakeholders that we do find are committed to spring service dates based on their needs and what they've communicated to us. So again, we're trying with this project to balance the needs of everybody in this room and everybody that's got a request to make it work.
I don't know how you can make commitments without understanding, all of the risks involved.
So, and again, when we will send out a communication, because it
Before
didn't
work-
address it in the slide.
You mean before the work commences, or?
I guess in our next public communication that addresses, I guess, the load increase. As specific as we can be, and basically, because I guess that does drive really this project.
I don't know, well, I think you should explain that to the community, de-identified or whatever. I mean, we'll just have to foil it, but I mean, this is something that's really disruptive, to us, okay? And while I understand, that there are new, customers coming online, and like I said, I appreciate that because our buildings at some point is going to do that too. The thing is that they're not getting cold over it. They're just replacing things and doing, things that are more efficient. Other buildings are getting worked on, which greatly affects the facade work that's going on in 3 buildings right now, and the window replacement for 1,000 people.
So I just want to ask, I asked the question before, and you said, my understanding is you're not disputing the work needs to get done, you just prefer work being done right now because there's so much going on. And you asked about coordination, and I think John said he has been.
I understand the riser, I'm happy about that, that's fine. I see why you got to do that. All I want is that it's done in a smart way, okay? And to me, a smart way is taking care of, you got to take care of Octagon, and it's not a traffic issue, and you can do it, and you can do 400-foot segments because it's pretty straight, for most of the way up there. Fantastic, knock yourself out. And you can pressurize that and energize that, I assume, at some point too, without necessarily having to have the bottom part of the island, done, right? With the risers, that's where it's coming, and you can cap it there and then pressurize everything else, right?
Not entirely, but we can be flexible, right? And as we go and work out what these coordination issues are, and again, we don't want to slow them down, and we don't want them to slow us down. So we'll work in conjunction. Anything that we can shift off or reprioritize or work in different areas, we're entertaining all of those. And we will be reassessing and having an open dialogue almost, I guess, on a weekly basis with them to see what the...
Because my guess is that as you start doing part of the street here, and I can point to you, you can go down here right at the stop sign and the turnaround there, there's water main problems here, so I'm guessing we're going to have, more water-related issues as you start digging up the street. You see the bubbles?
Does the Cornell construction schedule have any impact on your completion date?
In terms of...
Does Cornell's construction schedule, does
it conflict with...
No, are you saying you have to finish your work by a certain time because of Cornell's construction schedule?
I'd say that there's multiple stakeholders on the island that are looking for gas this spring, and we're trying to meet the objective.